Sweet, thank you everybody for coming out today. I know it's a lovely day, and I hope everyone has a good rest of the afternoon as well. But before we get to all the outdoor activities, we've got Hannah Harder coming in to speak to us about nutrition and healthy eating, especially around like school lunches and that sort of thing. So I'll let Hannah do the rest of her introductions, and then I'll just be popping in and out across all the rooms, so I'll be in and out throughout everything. So if you need anything, give us a yell. And yeah. Over to Hannah.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, thank you for coming in on such a lovely sunny day. I'm Hannah Harder. I'm a registered nutritionist with the Nutrition Society of New Zealand. I'm based in the Hutt Valley, actually full-time, working with the Pacific Health Service, but I got an email from Elma to come in today, so thank you all so much for having me. Special thank you to the Ubuntu Learning Hub, of course, for inviting me. I know you just sat down, but we're going to start with like a little icebreaker kind of thing. So it's called a knowledge spectrum, and just to sort of give me an idea of like where you guys think you're at the moment with your knowledge of healthy eating and like a good visual. I'm going to get you to stand at points around the room. So at this end over here is going to be number 1, so meaning you think you've got 0 knowledge of healthy eating, so stand close over there. But if you think you've got 100% like already set knowledge of healthy eating over that end, or you could be somewhere in between. So this end will be number 1, so meaning you don't know anything, and then this end will be you already know everything. So just stand anywhere where you think you are at the moment. I'm in the middle. Closer to this side, but not to me. We don't know much, yeah? Just wherever you feel. Just wherever you feel. Cool, thank you. You can sit down again. So I've really jam-packed a lot into today for you. I'll try and get it all done within the hour. So Alma told me a few things that you guys might want to touch on, so I'm going to cover a bit on food groups, the healthy plate model, portion sizes, and some good little tools to easily remember those, food label reading, some good meal ideas, and some money saving tips, which will hopefully be helpful because food's really expensive at the moment. So this is from the New Zealand Heart Foundation. You may have seen the food pyramids before. It's kind of similar to that, so it's just giving you a general guideline for what you want your diet to be most of the time. Obviously, diet isn't just like nutrients and healthy foods, it's also things like birthday parties and celebrations and going out with your friends, so it's not always going to look like fruit and vegetables and that kind of thing, and that's important too, but as your like everyday, most of the time foods, this is what you want to try and aim for. So eating mostly all your colourful fruit and veggies. The next level down is your carbohydrate, grainy, what we call starchy carbohydrate foods. So things like your rice, your potato, your pasta. Then the next one down is more of your high protein foods. So they're like your eggs, your chicken, your seafood, your fish, beans and things like that. Next one down, you've got your dairy products, and then the last one but not least is your healthy oils, nuts and seeds. So I think fat's got a really bad reputation in previous history, but I think it's kind of been forgotten as an important nutrient as well. Obviously you've got the not so healthy fats, so they're called your saturated fats, so fats that you would find in like your deep fried foods or your animal fats. So as an easy way to remember, the ones that are usually hard at room temperature, so like your butter or your meat fats or your coconut oil, so they're not so good for your heart and other health conditions. But then you do have your really good healthy fats, and your brain really needs fat, your body really needs fat, you need fat to absorb certain vitamins, so don't forget about it. And you've got things like your oily fish, olive oil, avocado, nuts and seeds, which all have your really nice, nutritious, healthy fats. So you've got what's called your macronutrients, so they're your protein, fats and carbohydrates. So those protein foods like those meats, seafood, fish, they're really important for your growth and repair. So they're sort of the building blocks of everything in your body, especially if you're very active, really important for repairing and rebuilding your muscles. Then you've got those fats, which we just talked about, which also help to keep you full for longer as well, and are another good energy source. And then, for absorbing some of your vitamins as well. And then your real carbohydrate foods, so like your rice, starchy carbohydrates that we just talked about, they're your best source of energy. So I think we've moved from fat being bad, and now it's like carbs are really bad, but they're not bad either. You've got obviously your more processed, unhealthy versions, like the more refined, like white flour or white breads, or high sugar drinks and that kind of thing. But we still really need a good amount of good, whole grain carbohydrates, like our rice, our bread, our pasta, whatever that looks like for you. But let's not also forget about our micronutrients. So I think these often get forgotten about. So all your little vitamins and minerals, there's heaps and heaps of them. They're all throughout different foods, but you've got things like your vitamin C, which is really high in your fresh fruit and veggies, really important for things like preventing sickness, especially as we're going into winter, and recovery as well. Then you've got your B vitamins, so they're high in things like animal foods, your greens, your grains, really important for converting food into energy. And iron's similar as well, really important for energy, and that's in things like your really high in red meat, but also you've got it in your fish, dark leafy greens, beans, lots of other foods. Then you've got your vitamin D, and that's an interesting one because that's known as the sunshine vitamin. So you get most of it from literally just having sun on your skin. Lots of people in New Zealand are really deficient because we're lower on the equator and we just don't go out and put our skin in the sun for very long. And we're also, really conscious about not getting burnt because it is so powerful here. But what's really important for helping you to absorb your calcium for all your bone strength and muscle function as well is that vitamin D. So you need that vitamin D to help you absorb your calcium. Then you've got magnesium. It's in some of your whole grains, dark leafy greens, nuts and seeds, really important for your muscle function. And then antioxidants are a really important one as well. They're really important for preventing things like cancer, and they're high in all your different colourful fruit and veggies. So important to try and branch out and have a good range of different things every day and not stick to eating the same thing every day. Oh, and I forgot to say at the start, if you've got any questions at any point in time, just stop me and ask me, because I don't want to make you wait until the end and then you'll just forget. So this is sort of another way of looking at your balanced diet. It's called the Healthy Plate model. This is actually Canada's Healthy Plate. I thought it was the nicest looking one. So just as a general rule, and not every meal is going to look like, meat and 3 veg kind of thing. But just as a general rule, you want your meals to be made up of about half a plate or bowl of those real good different coloured fruit and veggies, those non-starchy ones, non-starchy carbohydrates. Then you want about a quarter of your plate to be your proteiny foods, so like we talked about before, your meats, eggs. If you're vegetarian, it could be like your lentils, your beans. And then a quarter of your real starchy carbs for lots of energy. And this is just from the New Zealand Ministry of Health, just as a general guideline of what, how much you need of each food group in a day. Again, not something that you need to stress about, but just good to have an idea of how much you actually need. This is for adults, just bearing in mind that kids are going to be a little bit lower. So your fruit, you want to have about 2 servings or 2 handfuls per day, so that might be an apple and an orange. Vegetables as 5 to 7. Sounds like quite a lot, but if you sort of add it up, it might be I don't know, if you had some avocado on your toast, and then you might get 2 or 3 servings. Salad in your sandwich, and then dinner you might easily get 3 in there. And then you've got your, your carbohydrates. So that's actually 6 servings per day, but bearing in mind 1 serving is half a cup of rice. So say if you had, a cup and a half of rice or pasta with your dinner, that's 3 servings right there, or if you have a sandwich, that's 2 servings. In your protein foods, it's 2 to 3 flat handfuls per day, 2 to 3 servings. So if you've got your fish serving size, it's about the size of 1 fillet or the size of your whole palm, and then your red meat is the size of just and width of just your palm here. Then dairy products. Bear in mind this is for New Zealand where we eat a lot of dairy. Obviously a lot of different cultures around the world, they might get their calcium in other ways. Some cultures don't really eat a lot of dairy, or they might be lactose intolerant. So that's where you can get it from other things like bony fish, or like a lot of Pacific families that I work with, they'll do things like the fish brain soups and things like that, and they get a lot of calcium out of the bones that way. So this is sort of the New Zealand general guidelines, and that's about 2.5 servings per day, and a serving being about a cup of milk or 2 slices of cheese. So just to show you like in real life sort of what a balanced plate would look like, and these are just a few examples here, just to kind of get your head around, it's not going to look like that healthy plate model, it's going to look something more like this. So like here you've got your protein, which is your meat, and then you've got your starchy carbohydrates, which is your potato, and then your non-starchy carbohydrates, which is your colourful green beans there, and then you might have something like a curry, or you might have veggies, or your non-starchy carbs in the curry with your proteiny meat, and then your rice is that starchy carbohydrate. So just to give you a real life example of those. So we talked about these a little bit before. Just a good general way of remembering your portion sizes. So for our vegetables, all those non-starchy, colourful fruit and veggies, about 2 hands like this, so that might be like your salad. Then your fish, we just talked about that, that's your whole palm. Poultry or meat, so your chicken or your red meat, was that palm there and about the thickness of that. Snacks are about just 1 little handful, so obviously smaller than your meal sizes, and then you've got your grain foods and your starchy veggies or legumes, so your really starchy carbs like your potato, your rice, serving of that was about your fist. So again, bearing in mind like everyone's got different sized hands according to their age or their size, so it kind of helps you get an idea of like how much you need for you, or how much your toddler might need, or your little one, so it's relative to how big their hands are. So don't worry too much about this, but I thought I'd just touch on a bit of label reading, because I know it's useful for some people, and whenever you're buying packaged foods, and I think all of us here would be buying packaged foods unless you're really sticking, to a farmer's market or something. If you're going to the supermarket, if you're buying something in a bottle or a packet, it's quite useful to just have an idea of what the stuff means on the label. So this is your nutrition information panel here, and it gives you a breakdown. Every packaged food in New Zealand is required to have that on the label. But yeah, just things to watch out for are your fat content, mainly your saturated fat content, the added sugar, so obviously different if it's something like fruit, just a little bit different. Then you've got your fibre, so our fibre is what's in all your plant foods, so it's kind of like the bulk in it that there's a type you can digest or you can't digest, but it's also really good for keeping your digestive system regular and moving. Also really good for keeping your blood sugars stable and not letting them go too high. So for people that might have type 2 diabetes, or if you want to prevent type 2 diabetes, fibre is really important for that. Then you've got your added sugars. They're often really high in things like breakfast cereals, yogurt, snacks. Then you've got your salt, or it might say on the panel, it might say sodium and not salt. This is a really high contributor to high blood pressure, especially in New Zealand, so that's quite good to be mindful of. If you're mostly cooking like from raw ingredients at home, it's not usually an issue, but it's mostly if you're eating a lot of, takeaways or packaged foods, or even, bread. Actually, most people in New Zealand get most of their salt from bread, which is quite interesting. But if you're doing a lot of your own prepping and that kind of thing, don't worry too much about it. So a kind of general rule of thumb to remember to look out for your packaged foods is the 10-10-5 rule. I'm sorry I haven't done a slide of it, but you want on the label here, if you look at the per 100 gram panel, it's basically like saying, the percentage. So per 100 is percentage, so this one's got 7.4% of protein. But the 10-10-5 rule just refers to your fat, sugar and your fibre. So looking at your sugars, you want the added sugars to be 10 grams or below. You want your total fat here to be 10 grams or below 10 grams per 100 grams, and you also want your fibre to be at least 5 per 100 grams. So as a general rule of thumb, especially if you're looking for snack foods and things like that, the 10-10-5 rule is quite good. I have noticed recently that things like the fruit yogurts and stuff have been quite good. I think they've dropped their sugars a bit now, so the ones I was looking at the other day are something around 8 now, so that's good. And then I thought I'd just mention as well, sometimes people have questions around is fruit juice okay compared to, fizzy drinks, is the natural fruit sugar, any better? And it's a bit of a mixed answer because, all the added sugar, say if you've got a bottle of Coca-Cola, you're not really getting any goodness out of that, you're just getting energy and a lot of it. And then you've got, the downsides of too much added sugar leads to things like tooth decay or in the long term maybe extra weight gain, which down the track can lead to things like the type 2 diabetes. But when you've got fruit juice, it's also very high in sugar, but it will have other nutrients in it, maybe like vitamin C. But the other thing to note with that is that, one glass of orange juice may have, the equivalent of 10 oranges in it, which you wouldn't normally eat in one sitting. And the other thing is it's had all that lovely fibre taken out of it as well. So the fibre is what's helping, when you eat the whole orange, the fibre in that's helping to keep the blood sugar down, but when you've taken that all away by juicing it, you don't have that fibre there anymore. So just something to be mindful of, that it, it can still cause tooth decay and still be, have this similar effect to added sugars when you're drinking it in large amounts. And especially when you've got little ones, still to be mindful of, if they've got it in their bottle especially, it's not the best option and can still cause that tooth decay. And the same with dried fruit as well. Also a good source of nutrients and still good for you, but just something to be mindful of, especially because it can be sticky on your teeth. And I've had some friends and they're like, my mum, she was giving me with dried fruit, no lollies. She was being, really careful about that kind of thing, but it still led to some tooth decay, just because it did still have that sugar in it, was sort of sticking to the teeth. Not to say you should never have it, it's good for you, but just to be mindful of it's still similar to sugar in that way. So now I've got a little demonstration to show you, which I hope you haven't seen before. Some little activities on sugar and some common drinks. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Oh, the fats. You were talking about the bad fats, the ones that clump up in cold weather. Is that what's called saturated?
Yes.
That's saturated
yeah.
fats. Okay.
And then so that might be how if you cook a roast or something and then you leave it and all the fat in the pan goes hard.
That's saturated.
Yeah, so mainly your animal fats, except coconut oil is actually saturated fat as well, which is interesting, because usually your plant fats are not saturated fat, but coconut oil is kind of an exception for some reason. So just to give you a visual, so I've got a chocolate milk, a sports drink, Red Bull and just a bottle of normal Coke. Just move this away. So we're going to learn how you can work out for yourself how many teaspoons of sugar are in bottles of drinks. Not to say that you can never drink these, but just so that you guys are aware, and it's like a cool little party trick. So the main thing that you want to remember, I'm getting sugar everywhere, is that 1 teaspoon of sugar weighs 4 grams. So most, if not all labels will say the sugar in grams. Depending on how many servings per bottle makes it a little bit trickier, but I think all of these are just 1 serving. So all you have to do for these ones is look at the per serving column, then find the sugars. And so this one here has 33.6 grams per serving of sugar. And you can use your phone calculators, but can anyone work out for me how many teaspoons that would be? So it would be, all you do is look at the sugars, 33.6 divided by 4, and that will give you the number of teaspoons. Just over 8. So just to show you what that looks like. I wanted nice tall glasses because it looks more impressive, but this is what I can find.
Is that okay if we get the kids here for this?
Oh yeah.
That'll be fun for them.
They might be a bit more impressed. Has anyone seen this activity before, or like? You have? Yeah. Have you ever seen this activity before? Or sometimes I think some doctors' clinics might have it like in the bags on the wall. Because everyone's really honest. What's your name? What is that? Miles. Oh, I love that name. How many teaspoons of sugar do you think are in here?
You can't see.
Have a guess.
How many teaspoons of sugar in the drink? How many you can see?
Freaking.
5. Do you reckon more than 5? Maybe. There's 8 teaspoons of sugar in here. That's lots, eh? I'll show you how much that is. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's, it's really not as impressive when you don't have a skinny
glass.
but like, maybe that's better. But
Still a lot.
that's how much is in there. Yeah, if you think about, like, I guess if you have sugar in your tea and coffee,
1,
yeah,
2.
1, 2 maybe, like, that would be gross. Like, if you put that much in your tea. Okay, now we've got our sports drinks, and these ones, I'm a little vendetta against these because so many people think like, oh, it's a sports drink, or even with energy drink, it's like, you know, I need the energy, it's fine. And yes, it does have like added electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, which we kind of touched on before as, you know, good for your muscle function. And if you've been sweating a lot, you'll sweat some of those out. But most of us are not running marathons every day, so really not necessary. And you will get those electrolytes out of, you know, if you're eating a generally balanced, healthy diet, you will get those electrolytes. So this one here, who wants to have a guess how many teaspoons of sugar in here?
12.
10.
10?
Come on.
Any other guess?
How
12.
many? 9.
Oh, you're all so close! So we've got 44 grams. Does anyone know what 44 divided by 4 is?
11.
So you guys are so close!
And it gets worse as we go. It gets worse.
Okay, look at that. Give you a lot of energy.
So these ones, I think against these as well. But the other thing about this, and it was really interesting when I bought this at the supermarket, which I'd never seen before, a little thing popped up and I was like, I'm not buying alcohol, but a little thing popped up and it was like, please confirm that you're over 16. And I'd never seen that before, but I was like, I mean, I guess if you're younger, you're going to say yes anyway, aren't you? Because you want the drink. But I thought that was interesting that they're actually kind of trying to like have a little warning there that, you know, maybe you shouldn't be drinking it. And they do say on it contains caffeine, so that's the other thing. You know, if you've got your little ones, they're not great that they're having caffeine, not recommended for children, pregnant or lactating women or caffeine sensitive persons. So that's the other thing to be aware of a lot of energy drinks. And actually, even Coke, I believe, yeah, Coke as well actually contains caffeine as well as the sugar. So do we want to have a guess how many teaspoons in this one?
That's from Thailand, that one.
Is it?
Yeah, have to base on Thailand.
Yeah. How many? 14.
Wow.
Oh my god. So, any other guesses?
10.
10. So, okay, we've got 14 and 10.
11.
14, 10, and 11. Okay, someone was
Right?
so this one's got 51 grams of sugar per serving. Can anyone work out 51 divided by 4?
Will be 50
Almost 13.
13 will be 50
So we're really close again. I think this is our biggest one yet, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11.
Imagine just putting that in your mouth.
I know! I know you probably want it! Why would you just get spoon into the too energy? But yeah, I don't know if this is true either, but my theory is that it's often easier to drink sugar than it would be to eat it. I mean, like lollies and things are obviously basically 100% sugar, but I think, you know, in a few gulps you'll just have 13 teaspoons of sugar. And you know, if you've ever had like a McDonald's cup and it might have like a little bit left of the drink and you leave it in your car and then it goes like, the water kind of, and it goes like a solid kind of, not solid, but a sticky liquid syrup because of how much sugar is in there. So, last but not least, Coca-Cola. I'm otherwise you'll be disappointed. Okay, what's our first guess? 20?
18.
15.
16.
20.
20?
That's
Okay. Oh, 64 divided by 4.
20 something? Oh, wait, no. Hold on. We'll have 16.
Right. Oh, it's good that I did it in order, otherwise if it was like 9, you'd be like, oh.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the restful amount is little and it's still, yeah. Imagine keeping 2 of those in a day. That's why you're sweet.
So then I guess the lead on to that. So now we've obviously got our no sugar drinks as well, so I get a lot of questions around that. And the answer is, like, we don't really know much about the artificial sweeteners yet. So obviously they've all been, anything that goes in your food is, you know, tested that it's not poisonous and it's reasonably safe. In my opinion, like if it was me, I'd probably rather just have the sugar. I mean, I know it's not good, but I guess we've had a lot more years of research about it. And then your artificial sweeteners, I don't know, I just have a bit of a thing with things that are like really synthetic and really, you know, man-made. But that's just me. And, you know, it's still safe. It's still being through, you know, all the regulations and that to become a food product. But yeah, that's just me when it comes to those things. And some of them can affect people with certain conditions, and some of them are even laxatives. But yeah, they can, and for people that are trying to like cut back on their sugar, it's still kind of having the same effect, like it's still telling your brain I'm having something sweet. So yeah, it's a bit of there's no sort of solid answers with the artificial sweeteners yet, but you know.
Is the Coke Zero Innovator?
So that's an artificially sweetened one. Yeah, so I'd say, you know, either or, like none of them are healthy, are they? But I guess it's up to you whether or not you just have like the normal sugar ones or the artificially sweetened ones. But that's just me. Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say one other thing maybe for us to be careful of is that sometimes it says no sugar and then it has sucrose or another name of sugar, so they keep changing so that you buy, they keep changing the names of what actually sugar is, and you think there's no sugar but there's actually sugar.
No, that's actually a really good point that I forgot to mention. I think one this one, but yeah, you might have things like even in foods like cereals, it might be like golden syrup or malt syrup, or as you said, like sucrose or maltose, or what was this one? This one was sucrose. Yeah, so you might look at that and, you know, if you didn't know, you'd be like, oh, no sugar in there. But yes, that's a really good point. There's a lot of different sort of names for sugar.
Excuse me, you also want the Coca-Cola got more sugar than the Red Bull. When you drink the Red Bull, you got wings.
Because of the caffeine level.
Yeah, drink a Red Bull.
That is something to consider as well when you're making your drink choices.
How is that? What is the Red Bull giving people wings that the Coca don't have?
The caffeine.
I think because it's made in Thailand, isn't it?
It's also caffeine. I think caffeine is
Sorry?
Is it not the caffeine level?
But this one has caffeine as well.
Yeah, Coke also. But then, I mean, I can't actually remember what taurine does. I don't know if it's just for the flavour or if that's a form of like an energy enhancer. Yeah, I'm not sure why it does.
Isn't it totally the same thing that's in V3? Yeah, I think that's maybe similar to caffeine effects.
But I think it's like, oh no, I think we have guarana now. And that's different as well, and I think that's from berries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they all come under like this sort of kind of like coffee beans. Yeah, energy enhancer kind of thing.
Enhances.
Yeah. So this one here is, if we want to just go through it one more time, this one is a little bit more tricky. So all of these just said 1 serving, so that makes it easier to calculate. But then you've got one that might say like 2 or 3 servings, like one, you might get a big chocolate milk bottle and think like, oh yeah, I'll just drink the whole bottle, but they've kind of tricked you a little bit by having like 3 servings on the bottle and you're not meant to drink it all at once. Or like those chocolate bars that say like 2 servings and you're like, who's going to eat half? And like, okay, no one. So for ones like these, it's just doing what we did before. You can either work out like so 2 times 2, 50 mils would be a total of 500, and then you could just go like 5 times that, or you could do the per serve amount and then times that by 2. So yeah, just be mindful of if it actually has, like if you're looking at the per serve column, if there is just 1 serve per packet or bottle. Yeah, and this is just a few other examples. So iced tea, I don't know how many people drink iced tea, but a 500 ml bottle has about 7. Your sachets of fruit drinks, so that might be like, I don't know if they do Raro anymore, things like that, it's got 15 in 1 litre, if we make that up. Iced coffee, 13 in a 600 ml, so this one is 500 ml, so just slightly bigger than that. There's 13. The flavoured water still has 5 teaspoons in a 750 ml, which is just larger than that. Sorry.
So I have a question. I always have like sort of like debate with my husband. So he loves to drink Coke. Who is he? So my husband loves to drink Coke like every day. He will take his bread in the morning with Coke, even just a glass every day. So I told him this is not good. You need to drink water. He said, oh, there's water in the Coke. So I can't really explain because I'm not specialist on that area. So would you be able to explain, is that really water? Does it consider that you drink water when you drink Coke?
I've known a few people that don't drink water. Honestly, I don't know how they're still walking, but they don't drink water and they drink this as their fluid intake. But the same is kind of with salt. Like if you have too much salt, you'll get really dehydrated. You need to balance it out with your water. Kind of similar with sugar. So also with coffee and tea, but I'll talk about that soon. So if you're, this isn't going to hydrate you like water is because you've got all that sugar in there. And so your body's always trying to like balance out all your different fluids and sugars and salts and potassium and all that kind of thing. So if you're always drinking this as your fluid, it's not really going to keep you super hydrated, and I would recommend you balance it out with water or milk. Like water and milk are always your best. I mean, every now and then as a treat,
Scientific backing now.
Honestly, your husband loves bread.
It's all about balance.
So next time you try and say that, you'll be like,
It's all about balance.
ask the dietitian.
Someone answered.
And the other thing I was going to say about tea and coffee as well is that, sometimes I'll go throughout the day and I've had 1 cup of water and I've just drank cups of tea all day. And I think, that's okay, but coffee and tea are diuretics, which means they do pull quite a bit of water out of your body. So even if you have a cup of coffee or tea, you're really only getting about 1/4 of that fluid and hydration and like keeping that, and the rest you're splashing out of your body. So it's still important to try and have 6 to 8 cups or 1.5 to 2 litres of water or milk to just try and balance those fluids out and not just lose it all. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say with the smoothies as well, we might have touched on it before. So the smoothie 300ml, which is just over a cup, well, not in here, it has 9 teaspoons of sugar, but the difference with fruit juice and smoothies is that you've just munched up the whole fruit or whatever, and you've still got that fibre in there. So it's not going to have quite the same effect on your body as just a 300ml bottle of fruit juice. And it is better for you to have the smoothie form than the fruit juice form, if that helps. And this was quite interesting. It's from 2014, and I looked it up because I thought, oh, surely a can of Coke is going to cost more than $2 a day now. This was nearly 10 years ago, but it's still the same. And I thought, oh, what does that tell you? You know, unhealthy food and drinks is still the same price, but even with all our other foods, skyrocketing in price, you can still get your can of Coke for the same price. And that's another little thing that annoys me, but this is how much roughly you'd save. Say if you were having just a can of Coke from the dairy a day every month, you can save around $60. So another, yes.
Like Madukao honey from bees, you got sugar on that?
Yeah, good question.
Because sometimes the sweet there.
Yeah, and interesting because it's like fruit sugar. It's a natural form of sugar, and what I'd say to that is that it can still, you don't want to have too much, especially if maybe you're a type 2 diabetic, but in comparison to just having a bowl of this or this on your toast, it has a lot of good stuff in it, like it's antibacterial. There's a lot of good properties in honey. Can help with helping to cure colds and things like that. So, there are some forms, and obviously like your fruit as well, it has a lot of goodness in it. So I think, in moderation, honey is a very powerful, good food for you. So I wouldn't cut it out. Yeah. Cool, so now we're going to get on to some meal ideas. So these are just some of the tips here. So always cook enough for leftovers if you can. I don't know how much you love cooking, I don't mind it, but I don't want to cook dinner every single night of the week. So always try and cook it in bulk, and then you've got some for maybe lunch next day or another dinner, or you can chuck it in the freezer and whip it out when you've got a busy night or you've got home late or you're sick, things like that. Top tip. The next one, we talked a little bit about salt and how it can increase your blood pressure. So trying to reduce salt's important, but you don't have to add heaps of salt to create flavour. You can use other things to create flavour, like it might be your herbs, your spices, garlic, onion, balsamic vinegar, lemon juice, or even just to make your meals a little bit more yummy and to get more calcium. You can have add a little bit of cheese on top, or unsweetened yogurt I really like as a base. And then you can chuck it on things like curries just how it is, or you can make add garlic in it and it's almost like a garlic aioli, or lemon in it and it's like a good sort of dipping sauce. Sour cream and mayonnaise are really versatile as well. And this is just like a little oil vinaigrette that I like to put on salads, and all it is a quarter cup of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, clove of crushed garlic, and lemon juice or cider vinegar. So I find that I usually have most of those things in my cupboard, and you can just keep it in the fridge and it lasts for ages. That's really handy as well. I also like to use whole grain those wraps that you get in the packet, because I don't want to make pizza base from scratch, so you can just get the pizza bases that are ready made. But I find, if you don't want to have heaps of carbs in your meal, the wraps are quite good just as a pizza base, or also for lunch boxes and things like that. And to get more of your veggies in, the quick cook frozen veggies are really good. So things like your peas or your beans that you can just cook in a couple minutes are really good. And then for busy nights, I just like to have things on hand, like cans of baked beans, pasta, bread, eggs in the pantry that you can just, whip up into a toasty or something like that. And then to get the veggies in as well, I like to just do big trays of veggies, so it might be like carrots or beetroot or broccoli, and I just roast all them up in about 20 or 30 minutes. They're really good for leftovers as well, like you can add them in omelettes or things like that. Have you guys still got time? Because I know it is over past 2 o'clock. Want me to keep going? We've only got about 4 more slides, so I'll zoom through them. These are some good ideas for getting more veggies in as well, especially for the kids. So I don't know if you've ever tried carrot cake, but you can also add finely grated zucchini or beetroot to chocolate brownie or chocolate cake, and you won't really know what's in there, and it makes it really yummy and really moist, and that's kind of a clever way of sneaking some veggies in. But when I say sneak, you want your kids to trust their food at the same time, but they won't even know it's there. Another good trick is with minced dishes, so things like spaghetti bolognese or nachos, that kind of thing. Finely grating carrot or zucchini, capsicum, corn or celery is good as well, and it kind of just cooks down into a nice soft sauce, and it's really yummy. Soups and stir fries are a good way of just bulking it out with veggies, and even smoothies, they're quite good. They can even take them to school as a snack or a lunch or a breakfast. You can add a bit of spinach to make it really fun and green. Frozen cauliflower is quite good because you don't taste it, and it doesn't have a colour. Like if your kids don't like green things, they're not really bothered by something that doesn't make it green. Avocado is quite good because it makes it a bit more creamy. And then things like frozen berries and stuff as well. And then like I said before, you don't always have to do potato chips, you could do like carrot or kumara, parsnip. So just a few tips there on adding veggies. And this is a really good resource that I like from the Heart Foundation, so especially for kids' lunch boxes. It's also on their website, and they've got heaps of different recipes and things like that. So we just make some water.
What's in there?
This is why it's not as clear, so you can't tell I just slowly get more and more as I go on. You notice that one was empty. So these are good meal or snack ideas. So sticking to the balanced plate kind of thing, you could start with your cardboard grainy idea and then add some peanut butter or whatever, or colourful things on top. Then your other colourful things here, or crackers are good. You can add cheese or tuna. Sandwiches go a long way. Nothing wrong with a sandwich for a school lunch box. Then they've just done an egg with a hummus wrap here. You can do bowls, just add your rice, and add an egg, and then veggies. Baked beans on toast. Nothing wrong with baked beans. I love baked beans on toast. Sometimes I'll just add an egg on top and that's my dinner, so if you can't be bothered, it's a really good one. This is a really good breakfast option, toast with just a bit of peanut butter and banana. If you want that on your phone or you want to print it out, it's just on the Heart Foundation website.
Question.
Sorry.
Is peanut butter allowed in New Zealand schools?
Oh, good question. Some kindergartens, I think, is it in schools or
I
what?
think some kids
That was
I remember when my kids were going to Kendi, and Kendi really I was not able to take it because they told me the teacher doesn't allow in a class because some other kids are allergic.
Yeah,
So
really good point.
Yeah.
Really good
But
point.
they love it. That breakfast that we show. That's their breakfast.
Yeah.
Even now though they are out of this.
I love it. And as a snack, I don't think we've got it. Yeah, but as a snack, I really like apple with peanut butter on it, or I'll get the dried dates.
Is it a New Zealand thing?
I don't know.
There was a colleague of mine eating some teams meeting, and they were like peanut butter on like having slices of apple and scooping
Yeah,
it.
just
Peanut
like
butter.
that.
Maybe it
Chris
is.
loved it. Chris loved it.
Yeah, I feel like peanut butter is a
Marmite.
big New Zealand. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I actually love. It
It's
just
like
kind of
Marmite.
adds salt to my avocado toast. Like it just kind of adds a. Do you like it?
My son loves it, and I can't stand it. Like,
Do you do it thin enough?
Yeah,
Like you don't
really
spread
thin,
it.
yeah.
No. Yeah, it's probably an acquired taste.
Yeah, apparently it's very healthy and it's fun.
Yeah, David. You don't know. I've got a few money saving tips here. I don't know if any of you are part of the local fruit and veggie co-op, but they're dotted all around like the Hutt Valley, Wellington. I think the closest one to here I found on the map was Newlands. But they do, you can't pick what's in them, but they do tote bags about this big of fruit and vegetables for $15. The most you can get it is once a week, and you just go to wherever your closest one is, pay online and pick it up on certain days. Or one that I do that I really like, it's a bit more expensive but a bit bigger. They do a big box of about 10 different types of fruit and veggies called Warkina box. And they deliver all around the Hutt in Wellington. And including the delivery, it's about $35, $37. And I still find it a lot better value than supermarket, and the same with the co-op. So that's, yeah, I find that really helpful, especially when now like fruit and veggies fresh in the supermarket are getting a bit expensive. And the Wonky box is quite fun. You don't pick what's in there either, but basically the reason it started was they were trying to save all the food waste and stuff that wasn't at the right standard for supermarkets. So they just go around, pick it all up, save it basically, and then you get it for cheapest. It's kind of a win-win. We talked about cooking in bulk before and freezing or preserving your leftovers. If you had time on your hands, you could buy like a lot of in-season fruit, because it's usually cheaper when it's in season, and either like preserve it in jars or even like stew it or freeze it, chuck it in the freezer. Or even just buying like bigger bulk packs of meat and just having them in the freezer and, you know, picking them out to thaw them as you go. Cheaper than buying the little packets of meat. Buying, as I said before, in-season fruit and veg. Canned, nothing wrong with canned fruit or veg. Just look for the fruit that says in juice and not syrup, because the syrup is like a sugar syrup and a bit higher in sugar. Nothing wrong with frozen fruit and veggies either, so quick to cook. Often they're, I'm not going to say always higher in nutrients, but often they are just as good as the fresh produce, because they've been picked when they're ripe and they've been snap frozen. And when it's fresh fruit and veg, it might have travelled from a long way away, or it's been sitting on the shelf and it's just slowly losing nutrients over time. So nothing wrong with frozen ones. If you've got like stuff that you forgot about in the fridge that's going a bit old, you can still use it, like chucking in a soup or a stew or baking. And shop around as well if you've got time. Like there are some supermarkets that are cheaper than others. Not going to name any names. Or like small butchers and things. It's good to kind of shop around. Again, if you've got time and you want to start a garden, there's a place called the Makery in the Hutt, it's near Waifitu. But they do some really cool workshops around gardening, or like you can get your own herb bucket, like they supply it and you learn how to grow it and everything. So that's quite cool. The other thing is to use more plant foods and less meat. So we don't need to have meat every day. I think New Zealand's are very meat heavy. We eat a lot of meat, especially red meat. And we don't need it every single day and it's expensive. So even if you do want to still have it, maybe like a mince dish, just bulk it out with cheaper protein, like your canned beans or lentils, or if you like cooking them from scratch, cook them from scratch. Or you can even replace it, you know, even having like eggs instead of meat one night, or you know, even canned fish if you still want to have that element of meat, or you know, do vegetarian curry or something. It's so much cheaper, and our bowels will thank us, because having too much red meat is actually not good for our bowels either. Usually buying less takeaways is cheaper. and making our own is usually cheaper, especially if you buy in bulk, cook in bulk, that kind of thing. And always take a shopping list with you when you go to the supermarket, because you're way more likely to just be like, actually I need this and I need this, and then you come out with way more stuff than you need to buy, especially if you're hungry. Don't go to the supermarket hungry. It's terrible. If I go hungry, I come out and I'm like, oh, so I need to buy milk.
Which you forgot.
I also quite like to use a meal planner when I remember, or even I just like use the notes on my phone, maybe like one day a week for 5 minutes. I'll be like, okay, what am I going to cook? Or maybe I'll do like 3 nights, I'll write down what I'm going to cook and the shopping, and then just kind of plan ahead, because often I find the hardest thing is just like the mental energy of like, oh, you've come home from work, the kids need getting changed and clean into bed, and you haven't thought about what you're going to do. But if you can kind of think ahead and be like, yep, I know what I've got, I've already got the stuff in the fridge, it's so much easier. It just makes life easier. Okay, that's all the heavy lifting done. We're just going to redo this little spectrum exercise now. So I can't remember, I think this was 1 and this was 10. So I won't be offended if it hasn't changed. But how much do you think you know now about healthy eating? So if it's still, this was 1. If it's still nothing, it's dead end, or if you feel like you're an absolute pro at this point, I won't be offended, just how we feel.
Hey, we have to stand up.
Yeah, on the side, thank you.
Yeah. I'm on the right side.
You're on this side.
I'm on the right side. I got in trouble. Oh, the wife in trouble.
I'm here.
Yeah, you've moved as well. This is progress. Cool. Thank you. You can all sit down. And just before I finish off, if you want to go and get, if you want to find recipes for inspiration, I mean, Instagram and Pinterest are great too. Heart Foundation has heaps and heaps. It's got quick meal ideas, kids ideas. Tujuba, which was Ministry of Health, has good information. It's got your nitty-gritty healthy eating guidelines, which has all the different reports and information around the different age groups and portions and that kind of thing. I sort of gave you simplified versions, but if you want to read the big reports and things, go to their website. Healthify used to be Health Navigator, it's now Healthify. So there's a lot of good resources for nutrition on there as well, and also New Zealand Nutrition Foundation has some really great articles and I think recipes as well. So thank you very much for sitting inside on this sunny day, but I hope it was helpful. Was there any more questions?
My question is around vitamin and mineral supplements.
Yeah.
And I always every time I take one, I just concerned is there some side effect to it, or is it healthy?
I mean, the vitamins and minerals, it depends. I can't prescribe anything. I'm not a dietitian, but usually they're not so much like drugs. I mean, it's not as easy to overdose or anything. Especially if it's with water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C, you can't overdose on because you'll just excrete it if you're getting too much. But other things you can. Not that easy to do, but yeah, just be mindful of following the instructions on the packet, or yeah, you can talk to your doctor, especially if it's quite good maybe to do a blood test to actually see if you are deficient in anything, and then they might be able to prescribe you, and it will be cheaper as well. Because the other thing with on the shelf supplements is a lot of them, they might not be effective, or especially things like probiotics, a lot of the bacteria might have died in transit, or you might not be getting what you think you're getting, or calcium, there's different forms that you can take. So I think calcium citrate is the more they're absorbed differently in different forms and that kind of thing. So yeah, I probably, to get most out of them, I'd probably start with, if you think you need to start with a blood test, see where you're sitting at. You could even ask about things like vitamin D. I think most of us could benefit from a little bit of extra vitamin D.
Dark skin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and even I'm taking it at the moment, and sometimes it's placebo, but I think I feel better, and you don't have to pay as much as just like the prescription fees. Yeah, does that help? Yeah.
Yes, I've got a question about pre-packaged, pre-processed food. Sometimes I'm one of those who like reading the ingredients. Sometimes with flavors, colors, they're just represented by numbers. As from a nutritional point of view, is there a way you can know what those numbers mean or what they represent?
You can Google them, and you can get a little bit more information, because I think they're required to have the information somewhere. I remember there was a really good little resource, I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, do some Googling, like obviously try look for like an organisation or government, like a good source for the information. But I do believe that you would find like a bit further information, and sometimes they do just put a number or something, or it might be like flavour enhancer 821 or whatever. It won't say necessarily like that it's monosodium glutamate or that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to do some digging. But I think as a general rule of thumb, if you're eating less things out of the packet, then you're on the right track. Like if it's fruit and veg that's not in a packet, you're good. Or things that, if you know what the ingredients are, it's always a good rule of thumb. That doesn't help. That doesn't help with your question, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some good resources out there, and just like you can put the number in or whatever, and it will tell you like what it is and what it's come from. Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that's helpful. I never thought of going to Google and look at that number.
No, yeah, I've done it before, and I think they'd have to have it on there. I don't think they're allowed to just, make up it. Like,
maybe searching the product and then asking for the number.
Yeah, I don't think they're like this one here, it's got stabilizers, and then in brackets it's got 4 different numbers. So I don't know if you'd get the answers just from going to the website. Like, it would probably just tell you the same. But you could just do a general Google search and be like, what is stabilizer 460? Just search it up like that, and then just try and look for a reasonably trustworthy source. But it should, Google's got everything. It should be in there, yeah.
And it's usually the same world over. Like for instance, MSG, sulfides and stuff like that, you'll find the codes would be the same as, say, South Africa and New Zealand or things like that. So it has to be sort of standard. Yeah.
That's helpful, yeah.
I was going to ask, how bad is MSG?
I've heard mixed things about MSG. I haven't actually done heaps of research on it, so I couldn't tell you what my current opinion is on it, but yeah, I have heard it can be a little bit of an addictive salt, but don't quote me, I haven't done any recent research in it. Like, the studies might have had new results now, so yeah, sorry, I don't have a very good answer for you on that, but yeah, I guess it's just like a lot of other food additives, is it's better to try and keep them as low as you can. So it's not really helpful. That's alright. Any more questions?
I have a question on different disadvantage of filming.
Come to the class,
I have a question about different body types. So it's just about like similarly linked to like predetermination. So I'll use myself as an example. So I have low blood sugar. So I'm always tilted to, that's why my wife asks about the coke.
That's why you need the
So that's why I always think I lean towards the sweet, sort of drinks. So I don't know, is it like rampant across various, from your experience, is it rampant across various people that they lean towards foods that, I don't know, maybe their body craves because of their body type?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. I've never actually heard of anyone having low blood sugar. I mean, apart from if they have type 2 diabetes and, they've had too much insulin or haven't eaten in a while. Obviously, anyone, if they haven't eaten in a while, their blood sugar is going to go low. But yeah, interesting question. And I mean, it could also help. Like, the other thing with sugars like this is your blood sugar is going to spike up, but then it's going to quite quickly come down again. Which is why I'd say to anyone, especially someone that's prone to low blood sugar, is try and have those really good sources of things that are going to give you sugar. So carbs are basically turn into sugar, but trying to get like good forms of them, like your rice or your pasta or your bread, and trying to just keep your blood sugar reasonably stable. Because I mean, when you eat, it's going to go up naturally, and then it's going to go down after you've stopped eating, and then you want it to kind of have this nice slope. You don't want it to be going throughout the day. But yeah, I think that can really help as long as you can, and having things like protein to keep you full. But yeah, if you are prone to low blood sugar, I'd try and maybe just have a few more carby foods, like trying to keep your carbohydrate foods up. But yeah, I guess something like if you're going to have a sweet drink, maybe something like this, which has got milk in it, so that's, it's not going to spike your blood sugar as high because it's got a bit of protein. Not to say that it's super good for you, still high in sugar, but better than this, which is really all it's going to do to your blood sugar is spike it up, and then it's going to come crashing down again. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Sure. Something I think for myself as well, I did when I was doing my medicals to come here. I think they found out also my blood sugar spikes, and I realized if I increase fiber intake, I kind of don't crave sugar that much. Yeah, which you mentioned I think at some point in the presentation, that when you have high fiber, your blood sugar kind of stabilizes. I've noticed it helps me to crave less sugar.
Yeah, like if you're having, an orange instead of a glass of orange juice, that's, it's going to help your blood sugar to not go too low, but it's going to keep it more stable as well. And I can't remember what else I was going to say to that, but the other thing with fiber is it's going to keep you more full as well. Like if you're not having a lot of fiber, and if you're just having this, it's not really going to fill you up because it's literally, adding bulk to your stomach, so it's like filling your stomach up more as well. But yeah, and answer to your question, everyone's quite different, but I do find that as a general rule, that kind of thing works for most people. Try and eat more balanced, don't have really refined sugary stuff to try and keep everyone going, keep your blood sugar more like this instead of this.
Also one extra one. So this has to do with one of my child. So it's about visuals. So again, about people. So if she sees something that she doesn't like, it doesn't look colorful, she would not like to eat it. So I don't know if there's any tips on how to get around that.
Yeah, I get quite a few selective eaters, and sometimes it's just a phase, and sometimes, maybe you do have to try and cut it up a bit more fun or make it a bit more colourful, but they are really good on the Heart Foundation particularly. They've got some really good articles around trying to get through your kids' phases of being a bit selective with their eating, and a few tips and tricks around that if that helps. But yeah, even things like eating with them, which I'm sure you already do, trying to sort of role model what you'd like them to eat, so it sort of becomes that's their normal. But also maybe giving her a choice. Like you kind of pick the range of choice, but you could be like, you know, do you want us to have this veggie or this veggie tonight? So it's still like, she's still getting vegetables, so you win, but like she feels like she's had a bit of, you know, autonomy and power over like the decision of what she's eating. Yeah, does that help?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's heaps of, quite a few articles on Heart Foundation and like really good recipes and stuff for kids as well. If that helps. Good luck.
I've got a bit of a different theory towards what he's talking about, because I feel, well, it might be too late for him now, but I feel it's not helpful. Not in a bad way, but I feel like, you know, for me, you know, most parents will say, oh, you know, the kids, let's hide the veggies in cakes or hide it in certain foods. For me, my experience anyway, I felt like the earlier you introduce those things, kids learn to love them, and also finding more creative ways of making those things. Like instead of boiling the broccoli, if you stir fry it and make it tastier, then it's nicer for the kids to want to eat it, you know, and so I feel if you introduce it at an earlier age, like from baby food, you're mashing those pumpkins, you are making them eat those broccolis, and you know, and teaching them that is actually quite nice and good. But then we wait and give them spaghetti on toast and whatever until a certain age, and then you want to make them eat broccoli, and they're not going to like it because there's also peer pressure from school. They hear another child saying, ew, you know, broccoli, I don't, but you know, my kids have been eating, like she'll snack on a broccoli from as young as being baby, you know, even now. But then also, like what you were saying, there's other things that you learn about your child that, like for instance, my kids love veggies, but one of them will not touch pumpkin. And they've never liked it from even when they were a baby, you know, when you were mashing it, and I've given up on that, but I know that other things they will love to eat. So for me, I think the earlier the better.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And they've been doing studies on like taste preference of babies, and even from, you know, in the womb, if you're eating, you know, more veggies, like they're beginning to like build their taste preference to things, and definitely like instead of just being like, oh, just give them like pureed fruit, you know, and I guess you kind of create a rod for your own back the longer you leave it. And I saw a really interesting documentary. There was a guy going around schools in America versus France, and in France it was like, you know, they were having like cream of asparagus and like all these veggies in their lunches, and it was just beautiful healthy foods, and he would show them like what they'd have in America in their lunches. The kids were like, that's not food. And then in America it's like all your kids are eating, I mean, this is not putting them in a box, but you know, a lot of the school systems over there, it's like fried foods and pizza and, you know, all that kind of thing. And it's like, you know, if you are getting them used to that's their normal, like veggies, it's normal that we have veggies most of the time, then it just makes like your life and their lives along, like at the end of the day, so much easier, because, you know, you're building their taste preference for healthy things instead of, you know, them maybe getting to moving out and being like, oh, I don't eat vegetables, or, you know, I've never. And it's not like you're going to be stuck not liking them, but as you say, like if you can kind of build that foundation, and sometimes it takes 10 or 20 times for a baby to, you know, keep trying and like something, but.
And the sad reality is that those things are cheaper. The junk is cheaper.
Yeah.
The junk is easier to like, it's easier to take frozen fries and just throw it in the oven than it would be to make a veggie stir fry and all that stuff. So people lean more towards that, but if you introduce it earlier, then your mindset changes. And you start to value it more. And having those, engaging in those kind of conversations.
And it's like that, I guess that long-term goal, like instead of my short-term of like, this is quicker and easier and the kids will eat it. Like that long-term goal of like, you know, one day they're gonna love vegetables and like they're gonna be healthier than they would without it.
But if it wasn't introduced earlier, it's very difficult to change, because change is very hard. You know, so.
Would baby-led weaning help?
No?
A baby-led weaning? Would it help this child with textures and preferences?
Oh yeah, how old is the little one you're talking about?
Oh, she started that behavior like as early as 3, 4. If she does, if it's not.
Months or years.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So if it's not visually pleasing, she doesn't.
But that's the same. That's normal. Even for you, if it's not visually pleasing, you're not going to have it. So I mean,
This child
that's
the
kid is a smart kid, right?
same.
So you need to up your game.
That's
That's not her problem, that's it.
there's one strategy.
She has chills at home.
The mom tries
We
one
don't have
strategy.
chills today.
You tell them to close their eyes and just eat.
No, it's almost like the African thing where, as Africans, growing up, I mean, and I'm really generalizing here, our kids, you meet different family members because we have big families, right? And then we all of a sudden expect our kids to be accepting kisses and hugs from all kinds of family people because we are, more loving and friendlier and all that stuff, right? But then one thing, one lady said to me the other day, and she said, imagine you don't walk into the room and start kissing and hugging everybody. But, for us, you expect that, this auntie wants to grab and kiss and stuff like that. So it's the same even with the food and everything else. You can't expect the child to want to just eat something that is bland. We want variety in life. Even as an adult, when you go partying, lights and flashlights will attract you more than something else. So I think that's a cool kid, right?
Yeah, I guess it's like probably the equivalent of you. Like I've never eaten like a whole fish head with the eyeballs. Like if someone gave me that, I'd be like, oh, I might try it. Like maybe like if I saw it a few times, and maybe if like I saw someone else try, like maybe, but like probably not.
But that's the sweetest part of the.
But I guess it's a similar thing. Like it's new and it's strange. Yeah.
That's true. I'll tell you a funny story. I used to, because we've been always like traveling and stuff, right? But I love a variety of food. Like I'm the kind of person who go for your crazy seafood, and I'll still want my intestines and pepper soup and all that stuff, right? The tripe and stuff. Yeah. So my kids, I started introducing them to those things, and they loved them. And I would cook the tripe in different ways, make it spicy, make it this, you see. But then we went home recently, and my dad killed a sheep for them. And then they saw how you actually get tripe. Now they don't want to eat it. It's disgusting, because now they know more about how you get the steak, But before that, they actually used to love it. So when you introduce things to people at an earlier age and they start loving it, and now they miss. Sometimes they're like, should I? But the visual. Yeah.
It's funny, the foods that we love in New Zealand, they are considered as pests.
As what?
Pests.
As pets, yeah.
So the goat, for example, we love goat meat. In New Zealand, they are pests. They are pests, sorry. Then catfish is considered a invasive species in New Zealand. But it's a delicacy back home.
But having said that, I saw online too that there's groups of people who, even here in New Zealand, I actually didn't realize that, who actually like tribe. I saw there was a Facebook tribe group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And talk to people that, especially farmers and stuff.
What is tribe?
Tribe.
Intestine, roundabout. We call it roundabout in Nigeria.
It's also like where you grew up. Like for instance, I was listening to somebody yesterday talking about Nigerian food. You can get there and say you want a beef stew, for instance. Their beef stew is not beef stew like how you know it. Beef stew has fish in it. It has crayfish. So you have to.
balanced diet.
Like someone who comes from Southern Africa might not want to try that because they're like, oh, there's like,
I thought you were just
trying to eat the beef.
I thought you were just gonna say like the other parts of the beef, and then you're like, no, seafood.
Yeah, it's like everything in there, you know? So, yeah,
It's just about being open and trying to do.
All right. I think we might wrap up there because I feel like all this food talk is now making me hungry. But thank you so much for coming out to chat to us. Hey, Gossam, listen, pay attention, huh? Don't blame Ross, Drew. Well, thank you so much for coming out today, and thank you everybody for coming out. It's really good. We've only got one more proper session next weekend for the Learning Hub, and after that we're looking at probably trying to organise a Mariah visit in kind of early mid-July. So that's kind of watch the space. That's for the big two kind of things coming up. It's been a real good one, and thank you so much for coming out again. And I'll just go get the kids and we'll start the lunch process. Perfect.
Good session.
Unpack the business. You can ask the questions for the value proposition. So what do we deliver to the customer?
Nice. Services.
It
is a service.
It is. It's fine. Well, it's I'll give you a great analogy. It's like you sell the drill, but you don't really sell the drill, right? So the drill is you sell the opportunity to make holes, right? You see what I mean?
Yep.
To hang out your picture.
Yep.
But what you're selling is the physical piece. What does it give them? Is it more time? Is it faster? Is it better?
The opportunity for them to create how do I put it? It's an opportunity for them to be a better version of themselves.
Cool. And how do you do it?
By keeping them accountable. So the big thing in this business is accountability.
Nice. That's a value proposition. Just real quick, what's the business name?
Oluendo.
You can spell that.
Yeah, I decided to go for an African name. So that means
You
journey.
didn't go for Owen? Should have named it Owen or Window. Say it?
Oluendo.
Uluwendo.
So it means journey. And so my slogan is journey to the best you, which ties into the value proposition.
Nice.
I have done a little bit of
You
brainstorming.
definitely have. Journey to the better you, did you say?
To the best you.
To the best you.
I was gonna use better, but then I was like, no, best.
Yeah, that's
is-
good. Big statements.
Yeah.
And so what does it look like? Consulting? People come to you? What?
Yeah, it's more like health coaching. Yeah.
That's so good. And how do you do this? So this is the channels, but do you go do it in person? Do you do it online?
Trying to be flexible with the way the world works now. So in person and online.
Perfect. That's literally all you need for the sector. Customer relationship. Why are these people choosing you? Why not Owen's? Why not mine? Actually, I've just started mine. You know, why are they coming to you, not us?
Probably because of the value I can.
Okay, save your cheese. It's a business. Ain't no way to do. You gotta fight for this. You gotta like, yo, this is it.
I think because, you know, as part of like working in such industries, you have to be also like you have to walk the talk.
Yeah. It's reasonably priced. Do you see what I mean when I'm talking about that? It's actually, our programs are bespoke, so we actually talk to you that we create the program. It's not this box fitting in. It's
what they make it.
It's what they make it. So it's, I think the word bespoke is like you create it.
Yep.
And reasonably priced. I don't know what it is, but I think that's another thing with startups and people pricing themselves. Oh my god, it's so. I was like, where do I start? Oh, she was a bomb. It's. Desire. Visual. So that's this magic spot, right? Wherever it is, it's like the things they like. They want to go healthy Africans, full stop. Mental well-being. You know what I mean? I think there's so much focus on physical well-being. I mean, it's like move to it.
Yeah. Emotional well-being, spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual.
It's more like holistic health.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we see all the things that are desirable about it in this area, and then if we go back to the young adults, so these always come out to customer profiles, like so all these can just expand, right? We say about it, we're just doing this one piece of paper because the whole idea is we just get an idea of our business. Young adults. So tell me about these young African adults. What do you do after work, after school, after work?
So I'm in first year of uni. So I have training at 8, then we go straight to uni and then just see where my day takes me, to be honest.
Okay. Time poor. Man's busy but not busy. No, I know executives.
Yeah.
You see like oh.
I think one thing I've noticed is that young adults are not as active. Yeah. So inactive.
It might be an assumption. You might be making an assumption there.
Yeah, some people.
Exactly. So, and fun fact, for starting any business, it starts with assumptions.
Yeah.
You just have to. You just literally, if you knew the answer, you could do it already. So you go, I think there's a gap there, and you go and talk to them, you go, oh, actually, it's this. And so often when we're doing the interviewing, we just get really biased. You go, would you buy my product? And they're like, oh yeah, man, 2 of those. It's not helpful. It's not helpful. You go, hey, I realize there's a problem that's facing the community, and I've got some questions around it. And you go, oh, how do you look after your emotional well-being?
Yeah.
How do you prioritize your spiritual well-being? Is this something you consider? Oh, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pay any apps or anything around this to solve this issue? And they're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But we go time poor. It's what else about them? Tell me, they've got training, they've got footy. Who do you play for?
Ole.
Archer
and Poirot.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to do Ole Academy, bro. I was there. It was like ages ago. I was when they started.
Back in the golden.
Yeah, golden. Yeah, those dim days.
Yeah.
They broke.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're finding a gap, we're looking for a gap to be like, hey, this is exactly when they interact with us, so this is when you use your solution, right? Because the way you're saying is like, do you see that like a program for them and they come to the program, do they do it themselves, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's once we know at what point they use your product or your solution, you can tailor that solution to fit.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe just not knowing what's out there.
When we describe it, I know what you're saying. You don't know, we don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it's like this your customer.
Mm-hmm.
They in the city, or mostly in the city. No, they don't have to be at all.
They don't have to be in this.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah. Young African adults is the target we're looking at right now. And it's
Because I was gonna make it just like any young adults. But I was just like, Africans.
I think it's a great idea. And not only that, within key partners, you could do a lot of government agencies. Easily. I work with all these government agencies and I've got 3 big whys. Like everything I do is driven by these 3 pillars. One is the tree will grow regardless of you plant the seed. Which is ego, right? It's saying, ego tells us that I have to do it. You know, ego's like, it ain't gonna happen unless I'm the one that do it. It's like, you plant your seed, I come and kick it, then plant my seed. It's national going, labour to solve child poverty. You're like, my guy, help them. You know, like what? It's like, what? It's not only gonna be solved, you solve it. You know, it's so you realise, like, actually, wait up. And how can I help? And do you want this job done, or do you want to say you did it? And some of them just want to say they did it. It's fine though. Once you know that, you're like, cool, give me the money, I'll give you the name. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll be like, look what you guys did. The other one is, before you change the world,
Change yourself.
nah, close. Clean your room.
Clean your room. Does this come from that whole you gotta make your bed every morning?
Kinda. Twin Pearson. But it's, this is like that, but this is, as humans and as our mental folks, we have these big gusts of goals. So we see this business big and massive, right? We see it in the final big stages, but when it's so big, you can't really measure if you moved anywhere. And so no one wants to do the small, unsexy work, right? You know, behind the scenes that needs to be done. That's that training. You know what I mean? That's that behind the scenes. And so no one's looking. So before you change the world, before you do that big ass thing, get up in the morning and go for a run. You know, I'm going to be an athlete, so I can just get up in the morning and go for a run. Cool, you can still do that big ass one. It's like, I'm going to change the world, but first I'm going to clean my room. If I can't clean my room, how the hell am I going to change the world? Right? But it seems so small in the grand scheme that no one does it. So what's the small shit? The other one is, you learn to write the way your teacher teaches you. What do you think that means? If they link, yeah, go ahead.
You learn to write the way
your teacher teaches you how to write. So if they link, you link. If they slant, you slant.
Oh, like mentors, kind of like.
Kinda, but it's being aware of it. You gotta be aware of what you're learning. You gotta be so aware of it because you're like, yo, the system's broken. But if you're learning from the same broken system, you're like, I'm damn it. And you wake up one day, you're like, damn, I'm that guy. And the same shit as you create echo chambers, right? So you learn to write the way your teacher teaches you. Is like, especially, I don't know, like mid to late 20s, early 20s, like early 30s, it's just experiments, in my opinion. You need to just try a lot of things. You're like, turns out I'm not good at that. Oh, I really like that. I really like that. That shit needs to be going, you know, and you're like, cool, I'm going to do more of that. But I think people get real secure. So when you learn to write, it's like, go learn from different people. And it's just so important to learn how not to do something just as much as it is to learn how to do something. That's cool when you mess up. You're like, don't do that again. That shit is hot. But it's the same applies in business. It goes through. Feasibility is money, cost. So, especially as a contractor, charging out our own time is such a fascinating thing. Like, I'm at some cool rates right now when I'm working with like startups or when I do like these consulting works. But I know my value, and every time I do another workshop, I'm at $70 per hour to that. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's gonna be like, and then I'm like, if you don't want it, that's okay. If you think that's how you price it, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to do this. You're like, no, we'll do it. And I was like, cool. Shut up. I'm like, it's hard as humans we've got to go through, but it's like actually, you get this weird, awkward predicament when you're too low that people don't see the value of it.
Yeah.
If you're too high, you miss out on people. So, especially with your one, it's like feasibility, cost, it might be expensive. What's your time worth? You know, like, and you go, can I live off this? Initially, am I learning? Am I looking at different cost structures, different plans? Can I get subsidized from another government agency that goes, hey, we see what you're doing to prioritize African well-being. We want to help you do that because that's a goal of ours. Cool, pay for one of their programs. And it's free, it's covered through that. And feasibility is, how good is your product? How good is what you're selling? And how does it improve? Because you got to ask yourself that shit. You don't want to be surrounded by people that are like, oh my god, it's so amazing. It's like, alright, that ain't helpful to me.
What's amazing about it?
You know, you need, you want those people around. Like most people when they start their businesses, who do they go to first?
Their friends.
Their friends.
Friends and family.
Friends and family. Right? And they are straight like, this is incredible, this is amazing. You're like, yeah, cool, at least he's engaged in it. And then what people do is they run away after the business and they bunker away and they try to put it all together, hoping one day they come back and they pull back the curtains and go, ta-da, I did it. Look, you remember the thing I told you about? But I'm like, actually, we improve. You gotta go through shit to be good, right? You gotta go past 12 followers before you reach 12,000. It's just, ain't no one skipping that number. It's just but again, the small work behind the scenes. So how good is your product? What are you comparing to, and how are you improving? So, how good is your product is what are others doing?
I guess what falls under that is also what makes it different from
Nice. So
others.
it's a unique value proposition. That's a great point. What's your secret sauce? Do you know what I mean? Africans knowing Africans. It ain't some old looking bro coming and telling you.
That home guy's pretty cool.
But it's a cool day. Well played. And that's what I mean. So it's like the other one you learn throughout your teachers, right? It's echo chambers. So sometimes we gotta go, actually I'm gonna try something a bit different. And it's gonna make my sauce, that's my secret recipe. And if it's a program they can follow without you, like any business you start, you have to think about it existing without you.
Yeah.
You just have to. It's ingrained that people don't calculate that into things. And you just create the worst job in the world without realizing it. It's a job that ain't got, if you don't get out of bed, the doors are open. You know that mindset? We have a sick day, ain't no money coming in. And at the start you go through that, but if you create a system, which is a lot of the work I do is set up a system, so as soon as someone enters your website, your portal, whatever it is, what happens? Right? They get an automated email. I book a phone call. We have a sit-down session, coffee, in person, we just talk. We agree on a program, a contract. It begins. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you go, and then you move things around. You see how long it takes in between. But you have a system. It's not just how I feel. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, what's up, bro? The other time I'm sending an email. The other time I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's someone just saying it's these ABCs that once you get it, once someone joins the business, they know what to do. It's not just like what do they feel like or whatever is the day be. This is patent pending lessons, man. Cool. Key activities. What are your key resources? Do you need any resources?
Just the laptop.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you have like collateral, like documents or something they sign?
Yeah, definitely need documents.
Is that physical, digital?
Both. Oh, actually more digital. More, but going digital.
And physical, just to go over there. So it's like branding.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Digital marketing.
Huh?
Oh, there. Okay.
I feel like I knew, no? So I was like, I sniffed that out. Cool area, bro. It's a good area to be in. Well, tell us about it. Tell us the first year.
Well, first year is kind of like communication stuff.
Cool.
So it's like, you gotta get through all that, you know, like how to write an email, like like you pose as like this council person.
Yeah.
You gotta like write emails to, like a disgruntled person, be like, oh, I understand, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And then like, it's also like, I don't know how to explain. It's a lot of like language stuff on how like you say stuff and like if you say it in a wrong way, blah blah blah.
That's some elections, what that is, right?
Like,
we're talking like this here.
like yeah, like if your email comes across too like aggressive or like you might scare away the customer or this and this. And then there's also like an intro to marketing thing where it's like basically just looking at how different brands like came up and you gotta do like a case study on them.
Yeah.
And like
It's kind of cool seeing the different things. That's kind of fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like, bro, you should see my emails. I think the older the older you get, you realize the most beautiful thing is no one knows what they're doing. Straight up. Oh, straight up. It's like, you just look at it like, you don't know. It's straight up, you're like, wait you're like, you know everything, but you don't have a clue.
Everybody's just trying to figure it out.
Everyone's doing their best when they get going out. You're like, once you understand it, you're like, oh, it's all good. I can come here with you. And the whole game is trying to figure out what you're good at, what you like. Because screw doing anything else, bro. You see it happen so true with people like when they finish university and they go, I'm gonna change the world, you know, and they go, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and 2 months later, I need a job, I need any job, I need money, I need money. Then you get a job, then you get this newfound income, then you create a life depend on this income, right?
Yeah.
You get like a car, then all of a sudden you got rent to pay, then now you have to turn up to work. You have to, because your livelihoods depend on it.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get a pay increase, then your livelihood increases. And the same trap, before you realise it, you're in your mid-40s, you're like, shit, damn it, how did I get here? Yeah. So it's what am I good at and how can I use it? But there's me in my emails, like I work with like a lot of government agencies and I go, yo. Because I'm like, that's me. If you don't want that, if you don't, that's okay. I'm not one of those people that are like, choose me. I'm like, if you want.
I hope this email finds you well.
I sometimes forget to switch, like when I'm talking to like coaches, like elsewhere, I sometimes forget to switch, like I'm not like talking to my boy.
Yeah.
Yo, like what's good?
Like, what you saying? That's the most reason I was like, what you saying?
Love.
Yeah. It's sorry, but digital physical. I'm also like collateral. So like, as soon as someone comes in, you can do like a chart to figure out where they're at as a starting point. You know, like how often do you do this? Do you do that? And that's your secret sauce. So in this key resources, secret sauce. How you do stuff that's unique to you. Key activities, sales. You gotta get these people here. Do you have any?
Marketing needs to be done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people focus on that early on. Maybe too much in my opinion. Like they go straight to the website or Instagram pages, which is all good. Facebook pages is bare minimum, but it's these people. It's the who. It's the if you can spend as much time with the people you're selling. Yeah, and have a business. Yeah. As a consultant.
Yeah, you could charge them for like counseling, I guess.
Yeah, there'll be the same selling aspect. You do counseling, it'll be more like the, what is it called when you have like a one session to figure out if it's the right session?
Initial consultation.
Consultation, sorry.
You could do like refer a friend and get like the next.
Next session free. It's like it's in the way you structure it. You could structure it as a subscription base.
Membership.
Yeah, membership. Yeah. meet like monthly? And then the question is again, we talk about what are you getting, right? So I'm selling you the drill, but it's the ability to make holes is what I'm selling you, right? Hang up your clothes, hang up your picture frames. So I'm allowing you to be more in tune with who you are and to navigate this world a bit better. Just if we could do a small bit to make it less confusing, then we do that. And you said accountability. That's what I heard when you was talking to me. It's hard. Diary. You know what I mean? One of the things we do is we'll call you at 6 in the morning. Get up! I said,
some people away with that.
Nah, no way. I think that some people pay for that. Yeah, straight out. The guy out the window, get up. You can just drive around waking everyone up at 6:30. But that's honestly something I would pay for. You know, like mentors, that's what they do for me. Because if I said I'm going to do something, they're like, did you do it? Like, nah, man. I didn't do it. Because when it's just you be like, you can psych yourself real easily. You can play down real quickly and be like, I didn't know that. Membership's a really interesting business model. You create little pods. I work with this Rebel Business School right now. I'm facilitating with them, and they do like business courses for people like low income and all that kind of agency. And it's crack up. It's quite funny, by the way. But I love people. I love the differences, and I'm so over generic white males that I usually work with in the government sector. So I was like, and but what I love is the differences, the way they come up with different models. And the business model of Rebel Business School is the government pays them, so they get a contract from the government, and then they offer the classes for free. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The money comes from here, the service goes out here because Ministry of Social Development, they want to be working with these communities, they want to say, I've done that. At the end of the year report, they're like, look what we did. And you're like, I'll give you that. You know what I mean? Give me the money. I'll make you look amazing. And that's fine, that's where we understand these instructions, right? They want to come back, the data, or they want to be like, at the end of the year report, they're like, we help so-and-so do so-and-so. And you're like, cool.
That was my job. I went around always to like different organisations being like, and how did you use the funding? Cool. Let's just keep, great, you used it for everything? Sweet guys, let's just keep doing this thing.
Exactly. And it's a different game in the government agencies. They got to spend the money. And B, they genuinely kind of care. That sounds crazy. But they want, because they see the people that take advantage of the system. Some people know what to say, how to word it, and then you're like, I have to go to you. You know, like you just handcuff me because it's tick, 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 tick. And and so it's like, and some people do it and they don't say the right thing. You're like, do you mean? Are you trying to say? And you're like, no. You're like, you sure? So, I mean, it's a really cool way to play it. And Rebel Business School does it. African Community Council is doing it. It's understanding these agencies that are out there to actually allow you the service.
Yeah.
But my golden rule is you got to get 3 clients. Nothing more, nothing less. Paying clients. Start with $100 minimum, and then you go, what am I getting for $100?
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce. That's a diary. I think that'd be so cool to have a diary. Have your own diary. That'd be so sick. It's an actual physical product. So you know, this digital program we meet up, but you know, having a specific. Be like, we do this on Mondays. Here, that's what we do. And everyone calls each other really quickly. Leave an audio message, you know? I don't know what it looks like, but that is all under this desirability section.
Yeah.
And you gotta figure out how it works. How does it work? How does it make sense? You got any business ventures? Come on, surely there's one cooking.
Well, like, I had one in high school.
Cool.
We like, it's kind of like this energy drink thing. It was the project, obviously. Like, it was called Prodigy Powder, and it was just like pre-workout. Like, you take it before your workout, and you just get all this energy. blah blah blah.
It's like
It was filled with caffeine, and of course,
it ain't good for you, bro.
but we made it taste good. So it's,
It was like pre-workout buzz.
yeah. So we sold it for. It was selling for like maybe like 2 months.
Oh,
And
would
then,
you
like,
sell it online or?
Online and at school, like in person.
Yeah.
We had an Instagram for it.
Oh,
And then
cool.
We kind of just after school ended with So let's see you later.
Did you get the product from somewhere else and then sell it, or did you make the actual powder?
No, we made we in the lab cooking it.
Secret sauce.
Yeah, we got our packaging from China though, but we got it shipped in and everything.
So what? So you picture human, right? So packets come, and then how do you seal it up?
We had a machine for it. So
sick!
my friend
cooking it up.
yeah, my friend had a machine for it. So I forgot what it was. He just did it.
Yeah, it's like this vacuum sealer hot thing, like temperature.
Yeah.
Do you need pictures?
He was oh no.
No, yeah, but this is cool, guys.
It was pretty fun because it was like with the boys, and like we had like all these measurements and everything. It was like,
Health and safety, you hit up with like.
Oh yeah, we had some
kid like. Some kid in the corner. Hey, which one's a prodigy?
We had some.
Yeah. No, I've never seen this. No hablo español.
No hablo inglés.
It's a little baby.
Because the real red flag is when you bought a law to get the money through.
But this is a good structure, so this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of every business fits into. Did you see it? Do you already see that? So we did text shows. We're not doing text shows. It's the who. So in that example, who was it?
Pretty much just like high school athletes. Yeah.
And we know the problem they have is, what are we saving them?
It's like fatigue from like school and everything, because like it's normally high school is like after school,
yeah,
and like you're tired from like 6 hours of straight sitting down,
yeah,
and work. And you kind of like that, need that pick me up before your training.
Yeah, before training, yeah.
Whatever
Cool.
sport you play.
You know, pick me up before it's perfect, right? So what we've done is we know where this high school athletes are, right? We know what their social media behaviors. We know where to go. We're not going to go throw up some flyers because they're online more times than not. They need to pick me up. So not only are they high schoolers, they're also athletes. They play sports and they're like back and forth. And the current solutions would be pre-workout, coffee, energy drink, and you're saying, what do you call it again? PP?
Prodigy powder.
Prodigy powder.
Yeah.
Prodigy powder.
That's a good name for it.
And so we're saying this is, what is it? It's easy.
Like
why not pre-workout coffee or energy drink? Why Prodigy product?
it was cheaper and
Cheaper?
better.
Nice. Cheaper. Bro, that is so simple, so clear. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's like don't build the iPhone, build the iPhone jack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like those little things, and you're like, damn, every time they make a sale, I make a sale. It's like 25 cents on the dollar. It's Virgin Planes was a great example of their business model. So when they came in, all the planes already existed. They didn't reinvent and said, hey, I'm going to change the way we travel. Richard Branson comes and goes, British Airways sucks. He goes, it's crappy service and the seats aren't comfortable, it's real squish. So he just made one that's better service and the seats aren't squished. Right? Yeah. It seems like, it's like, alright, that's a great business model. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so often, what's the other one, Henry Ford quote, if you ask people with horses and carriage how to improve it, they're like, more horses. You know, they're not going to be like, oh, well, I can bust your engine. So they don't know that. You know, they don't know. Cheaper, tastes better. That's actually a value proposition. Cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper because you're just making it in the back of the car. It's crazy how that works. You don't have to know health regulations. Cheaper, tastes better. Local, like I get it immediately.
On site, right?
On site. Yeah. Will the school just let you sell this?
Yeah, I was surprised.
It's like
I was surprised because I asked about it. I was like, are you even allowed to do this? And they're like, oh yeah. It's on school grounds, whatever. I don't know.
It's all good. Candles. Smuggle into school. Lunchtime in the science lab, yeah, literally there, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
Pass to the fence.
Yeah.
There was
Here's your books,
There was a staff kitchen that was unused, and we were like, oh, can we just go in there? They're like, oh yeah.
That's so cool. So tell me about the powder. Tell me, what's your secret sauce, man? So what do you get? Protein? No, you don't eat protein.
No, it's caffeine. It was like,
what do you just like caffeine? Like coffee from caffeine? Like how you get
it was kind of flavored. It was like lemon, kind of bitterish caffeine, and then you had it's like this flavor thing that we bought from I was a marketer. I was involved, bro. I should have known these guys. I was running the social media and everything, so like I was literally just sales, like I go out to
It was them man cooking it.
Yeah,
I see nothing.
nothing. I think I made one packet, or like I sat in the kitchen like this, like just working on some like.
It's like a cool guy's out. What are you doing? Hanging around.
It wasn't hip hop. You can now rap about it.
Yeah. I'm ready to hear what a.
I'll try to find that.
Thanks. I need some one bagger, Them guys. Jamal, give us names. You can listen to names all day.
Anton.
Yeah. It's all in, man. Me, I'm in sales.
Oh, you see, most of our thing was like from.
So they put it into water?
Yeah, you mix it in your water bottle. Look at this.
Cool.
For drinking protein powder.
Yeah! You gotta see this guy.
This is me.
Yeah. It's 3 in the afternoon. It's sick. It's marketing. Customer relationships.
Yeah.
Humor.
And we use like modern music as well, just for like, cause our thing was
Modern music.
Oh my god.
just
Because you know your customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's exactly what
and that was
the logo.
we just put it in a P and like put our QR code and like all our
that's
branding.
That's smart.
That was announcing our drop.
Yeah, you see, I like you guys keep your face though, because you knew you were going to get caught up. I ain't know nobody. I ain't know nothing.
Oh, this is our logo.
Nice. Right, you like what I drew? I was like 2 P's. I was like straight away. It's like every startup's name though, they like spelled something wrong. And a capital here.
Yeah, $sign.
Oh my god, this is actually really good. Okay, so desirability, we know it's cheaper, it tastes better, it's locally and immediate. Channels, smuggle into school, parties even. Relationships, humor, socials, and school, like, I don't know, just school in general. Key resources. So, this is the stuff you ordered online, right?
Mm-hmm.
So key activities are things that need to be done, things that you need. So what do you need?
Packaging.
Packaging.
With branding on it.
Yeah.
Materials for the powder, yeah?
Ingredients.
Science lab. Chemicals.
Secret sauce, right? Yeah, you don't need to tell nobody. It's not like you know what it is anyway. Cool. Key partners. Where'd you get your packaging from?
Supplier from China.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
China, bro. And then you use your school cafeteria.
Oh yeah.
Key partners, yeah, school. Key partners, what else for you? You got packaging, socials is not really a key partner.
What about like other clubs?
Yeah.
Sports clubs.
They get fun.
We supplied the first 15 for like a game or two.
Oh, nice. Why not Facilitator?
I don't know, they didn't want it. I don't know.
Fancy footballers out there. China Row packaging, that's fine. You can keep the prices down. Key activities, you gotta make the bags. Let's rephrase that. Key activity, what do you call it? What's that?
Make powder.
Make powder. Make product. Make product.
Make product.
Make product. Yeah. So it's but what's the small bits in it? So you got key activities like marketing is another one.
Yeah.
Make like marketing videos as well.
We had surveys go out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Surveys. Actually, key resources. People, some people that actually do the work. Yeah. Some people surveys. Make product. So. And cost structure. How much did it cost to make a single packet?
It was. Oh, I forgot. It was like $2, $1 something.
Cool. So you buy in bulk and then you could.
Yeah.
So we'll go around $2. $2 for product. Socials. Do you have any other expenses?
No, we didn't. We just
hopped on
Instagram and we had a TikTok, but we didn't really use that.
Yeah, but it doesn't cost anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, easy. And you sold it for
$3.50.
Oh, what? Come on. Okay, so this is another thing with sales. You either go cheap with a lot, so a lot more sales but cheaper, or more expensive, less sales. But you can imagine if someone's like $8 when you sell 12, and someone's like $4 you sell 16, right? And so it's like where you fit into it. At $3.50 it makes it niggly. You gotta get some coins. $5 clean.
We ended up dropping it to $2, because it was like
break even.
Yeah. So you don't want that. So that's exactly what I would have done is gone $5, but you get 2. Do you know what I mean? Like that, because it's a clean exchange of cash. I ain't gonna give you $1.50 back. You know, like I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
2 for $5. You know, it sounds gross all the time. 1 for $3.50. You want to be a dick. You're like, why would I? Don't make sense.
Yeah.
And you go, your 8th one's free. You know, that's like the channels you talk about and how to play this. But the biggest thing with any business you do is it starts in your head, there's assumptions, you just do something and that's a starting point. But we live in our heads. Straight up.
Yep.
Our business, we've got 3 businesses and multi-million-dollar businesses, you know? It's like, you just got to start through that. What's the time? Oh, my phone. Yeah, bro. 209. How can I help? I'm like, this is sick. This is way I'd rather be doing in terms of like the value in being able to see the structure of a business is so much more valuable than going through one and continuously doing it. Because now when you have like an idea, you can quickly test it out.
Yeah.
And if anything you take away, start with the who. Start with who is this person that's going to pay me for whatever I'm offering? How do they currently fix it? Like with the project product. Prodigy powder. It's cool. The thing we're saying is, hey, you're really busy, you want stuff, coffee's too hot to take, energy drinks or buzzy, you can't close it up, just add water, you know? It's always selling is convenience again. Almost always is selling convenience. Literally. It's an era of the world we live in. Like, it's wild, man.
Yeah.
It's like, think about like Uber Eats and stuff, like, same thing as a taxi, like we could always, so one, you could cook your food, then you go, move to the period where you can order some fish and chips, you go pick it up. I'll do the cooking, you pay me for the cooking, you take it up. But then now, I'll deliver to your door. It's like, what's next, man? Like, I'm gonna inject it into you, like, I'm gonna feed you, bro? Like, what the fuck? You don't even realize, you just hear the way we go about it. Like planes, I think planes is another shit that buzzes me out. Like you sit in a metal container in the middle of the sky, and you're like, "Where's the Wi-Fi?" My guy, shut up! Like you're in the sky.
I mean, there is Wi-Fi though.
I know, but I was saying that's the things that people are solving just to make it more convenient rather than real world issues.
We got drones delivering now.
It's
Oh, sure.
Right, we're gonna be in that era like. Technology, we're like, what does this hand do? You're like,
Isn't Elon Musk doing that whole chip thing, the microchip?
Yeah.
I think you mislead that one, I know that.
It's already in there, bro. You already purchased, bro.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. I think there's a whole era. I did this project. And they're looking into embryos. It's called Casper, and it's like genetic modification. So it's like a real true issue is like you can find the genome and see just like abnormalities.
Yeah.
And they can fix it. Like Down syndrome, they found the genetic code. Like they're like, we can actually fix it, right? And then everyone's like wild. Yeah, it's like
It's okay when like we can detect it, but now we can fix it, right?
It's gone so far around beyond that because at the point you're like, damn, because it raises the issue if you can help someone, like why not? You know, that's what you're there for. Like you can help someone from going through a life considered harder. Would you not? And the issue is who draws the line.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the police officer? We're talking about genetic modification and technology.
Oh.
And have you seen about genetic modification how the Casper, they can actually find the genetic code for like dwarfism, Down syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's people they can go and fix it. And the dwarf community are like, whoa, like what the hell? They're like, yo man, we're fine, we're not an issue solved. And they're like, but over time what that means is abnormalities, you just become the fringe of society even more so than they currently are, because you're like, everyone's genetic modified. To the point now, with the genetic code, they can choose your eye color.
Wow. Thank God.
Thank God. And then the question I proposed to them, I was like, who do you think has access to this? You have to have money to be able to play this game, and now all of a sudden you're creating another level of this. It's going to be like genetically modified and organic. My kid's straight organic, man. But then it won't show face until you get to like high school, and these boys like 6'5", built like machines, like, and then you go, damn, my daddy broke. But it's like who plays this and who plays God and who draws the line and goes, no, that's too far.
Yeah.
But if you can help someone, and so that's that whole world that no one's talking about. Everyone's AI. I'm like, bro, genetic modification going to uppercut everyone.
It's a weird one though, because you think about it. So let's take agriculture for a reason now.
Yeah.
We've been doing genetic modification for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Because that's what breeding animals is, right? You select animals that have the things you like. So that's why you have cows and chickens and sheep, but it's never been on this level, which is the weird one, right? There's a level where like, you know what, we could probably, like we want sheep to have more wool. Let's just keep breeding different bits of sheep until we have the ones that have the best wool. But then then that's almost like a kind of, we said like, oh, that's quite a normal one. We said that's almost okay, but then it's when you get into that, go and like select that stuff specifically. Is the weird.
Once upon a time though, it wasn't. It was survival of the fittest, right? Like evolution. If you had something that's desirable and kept you alive, you just survived and genetically passed on. Now, there's another piece that I was like, I'm keen to write on. It's like I reckon survival of the fittest is actually wealth now, which is the same thing of any aspect. Like once upon a time, bipedalism, like the ability of the monkeys to walk up on 2 feet was like, yo, my guy, like you see him walk, you're like, and he was scuffed. He or they genetically passed it on, right? And then all of a sudden, we keep bipedal, and the naivety of humans to think evolution's ended. Like, bro, that's dumb. Just because you put a name to it, don't mean it stops. But it's no longer physical attributes. Straight out, it's just your ability to acquire money is the most desirable attribute, which is wild to say, but it is. Because if you can afford money, if you get money, you can afford care that makes you live longer. And
there's no way humans have stopped what we were just talking about. Evolving.
We've never stopped evolving.
Because a high school is running 100 meter, 10 seconds.
That is exactly the point of evolution.
Why are you able to run it?
Because you don't have to run from animals no longer. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's like African Americans, man. They built like the huge 6'4" giants and like NFL. And this was in the podcast. And this guy's like, you realize it's because they were desirable slaves.
Yeah.
Which is wild, right?
Yeah.
Their ancestors had good genes.
Yeah.
Like, where's all the other scrawny ones? They're dead. They're straight up.
Yeah.
They didn't make it off the boat. These are, and you just think about it as what it is. Oh my God, in specimens, but you're like, it's straight up selected. Like, they just, that's why you're big, bro. That's just.
Victor, what's his last name?
Warkina.
Bro's like 7 foot something.
Imagine that shit, 7'5", 7'5",
7'5", I think.
Because it's
more
like,
door.
nah. But that's all those NBA players, right? They look normal next to each other, but if you saw any of them walking, you're like, weird, bro. You're big, you're giant. It's literally putting giants in an arena and watching them play. Yeah. Did you get some food, get some water?
Yes.
I'm starving.
My name is Mangala Kasongo, and what piqued my interest was being able to be surrounded by other Africans, and also just having an African share their knowledge and skills in their area of expertise. So the session that I attended was the startup session. It was actually very timely because I've actually been thinking of starting up my own business for quite some time now. So it was quite nice to have just like some pointers in terms of where do I start, what do I need to think about. And I think it was quite a valuable session because now I can say that I've got somewhere to start and I know what exactly I need to focus on. It was great. I think it was nice to have somebody who was quite personable and just using humor and storytelling and analogies to explain concepts rather than using like a textbook theory explanation on how to start up your business. And I found the organization quite welcoming and very friendly. And yeah, everyone was just so open to having conversations and just they noticed that I haven't been here before and they made that effort to say hello and get to know me a little bit. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to come to this session. Yeah, I'll be back again. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Owen, and pretty much I got the advertisement from my mother, and I've been thinking about like businesses and like what to do after like my career and everything's like over. And what piqued my interest is like I find like business like really interesting, and just yeah, pretty much. So my mom sent me the advertisement, and I thought I should come pop in and see what it's all about. I found it very useful. I think a lot of the things were similar to what I had learned in high school business course, and it was kind of like just kind of that refresher course, like all the things that I might have forgotten or some of the things that maybe my high school didn't teach me. And I think it was like really helpful, you know, to just get all those ideas from The facilitator was very charismatic, very like outgoing and bubbly. So I think it was very good, you know, because he helped with like an engagement and like staying like you know interested in like what he's talking about. And so I thought the hub was very well organized. I think food, catering, and everything, good structure. Shout out to Western Suburbs. Yeah.
So my name is Lindy Matshaba Moyo. Why am I interested in the Ubuntu Hub sessions? I'm a strong believer that Africans have a lot to offer. I believe that Africans are powerhouses, and there's so much that we can learn from each other and also learn from other people. There is a saying in my culture, "Motho ke motho ka ba bangwe," or a person is a person by others. You know, so for me, it takes a village to build each other and to learn from each other. And I value sessions like this because I see that, especially being away from home and being a small community, they might not help us at this age, but they will help our kids, generations to come, to be seen, to be valued, to see what they actually offer. That there's a lot that we can offer to the country or to the nation. So I find these sessions very valuable. I found it very valuable. I think it's very good because, I mean, everyone needs to know about nutrition, and you don't always know everything. I mean, some of us probably know a lot on certain things, but there's always opportunities to learn more and to grow further. What I particularly liked was the session for the youth because in this day and age, I think there's a big need for us to not just be hired, but also to be job creators. And so the youth session was about entrepreneurship and business, and creating a business and owning a business in New Zealand. And I thought that was really, really good. Last week, though I didn't come, I know there was DJing or things like that. A lot of our kids, even adults, love music. That's a skill that our kids can learn and that can help them as a side gig or a side job, or even to build a career as an entrepreneur or things like that. So I found great value in that. Well, I found it greatly organized. I thought it was the speaker who was there addressing us was somebody who knew what they were talking about. I mean, relevance to the discussion or to the topic. I asked my son also about how the youth session was, and he said it was quite good, and he found value in that. The food was amazing. I loved the food, and I loved the variety and color. It was really, really good. I also loved how even for the younger ones, there was, babysitting or things that they could do. Like my little one came and they had origami and stuff like that. So I thought that was really good and well planned. Well, shout out to my other Africans. Let's value ourselves. Let's love one another. Let's come together and unite. Let's learn from other groups from different countries where they can unite and put each other first and help one another, you find an opportunity, you tell others, you share. Let's grow together. And yeah, let's come and learn and be a united community.